Okay, so let's get started with this week's check-ins. ZS6 OPS standing by.
I'll go on the second round.
Okay, let's hear if anybody else is out there, or if anybody is out there. ZS6 OPS standing by. I was on my own last week, but I still did the net. I didn't stop.
ZS6 Sierra November Yankee. There's no traffic on that. Don't panic on that one. I'm with you, Chad.
What did you say about panic? What?
I said, don't panic. I'm with you.
You went last week. I went ahead. I did the entire broadcast. I mean, this is a radio station. There's listeners. I'm not worried about people coming back to me. Okay, let's acknowledge ZS6 SNY, ZS6 FPS. At least I got 2 check-ins this week. Far better than last week, but I know there's hundreds of listeners out there who are too scared to call in. But please, guys, don't be shy. Go ahead. ZS6 OPS still standing by, 1902.
I'm planning to go up on the roof and repair my inverted V tomorrow.
Now, I want to talk to you. Make a note there after this net. I want to talk to you about this inverted V. I'm serious. Put a note there. Post it up on your screen quickly. Okay, 1903. Any further check-ins? ZS6 OPS standing by. Man, it's hot and humid, Jay. I wanted to still go get another cup of coffee quickly. Getting big, eh? 1904. Let's make this a second last round for check-ins. ZS6 OPS standing by. Okay, guys, last call for check-ins. ZS6 Oscar, Papa Sierra standing by. Okay, nothing else heard. 1905. Good evening, everybody. Today is Sunday, the 4th of December, 2022, and the time is now 1905. Those of you that are listening, and if you wish to join the net using Zoom, you may do so, as Zoom is now open. If you do not have Zoom, please contact me on WhatsApp, 082-859-2684, and I'll send you the link with the greatest of pleasure. We usually begin with the amateur radio check-ins on the Rudderpert repeater, 145.625, and once completed, we continue with the net. So greetings to one and all, and welcome to this week's net. ZS6 OPS returning. This net is broadcast every Sunday evening at 1900 and is broadcast on the amateur radio as well as Zoom for the benefit of both radio amateurs, or I should say for the benefit of radio amateurs, disaster relief CERT volunteers, and members of the general public. Everyone is welcome to join the net and to participate using either of the two platforms, i.e. amateur radio or Zoom. I would like to remind all amateur radio listeners who have not checked in that you do not need to be a member of any group or club to check in or to use the repeater or any of the amateur radio bands. All that is required from you is that you have a valid amateur radio license issued by ECRN. The ECRN license automatically grants you the right to use any of the amateur radio bands at any time, and there is no need to ask for or be granted permission from anyone else in order to do so. ZS6OPS returning. And I make that statement with deliberate intent to educate radio amateurs on the actual regulations and not on what certain radio amateurs believe they are expected to do or otherwise. Also, be advised that this weekly net is not broadcast for the benefit of radio amateurs only or disaster relief CERT volunteers. It is open to all members of the public who may wish to join using Zoom. And I'd therefore like to encourage you all to share the weekly net Zoom link with everyone they know throughout South Africa. Doing so will help us grow the weekly net and will contribute to disseminating information as far and wide as possible. I'd like to add that this will also give us the opportunity to start looking at deliberate or specific topics on a weekly basis instead of just unpacking the weekly COVID-19 figures, which is what we are about to do. So globally, the reported COVID-19 figures are at 645,188,902 compared to last week, 641,409,000. This is a total of 3,778,920 new cases this week compared to the 3,434,029. This equates to an increase of 344,000 compared between the 2 weeks. Although this week, even though it is a little bit higher, it's an increase of 562 in the previous week, 562,000 at least. The death toll globally is now at 6,640,819 compared to the 6,630,440, and that is an increase of 10,379, whereas in the previous week we saw an increase of 9,700. So we up slightly this week by 663 deaths above the last week's figures. Again, I must remind the listeners that several countries have adjusted their testing and their reporting protocols. However, South Africa is one of them as well. And talking of South Africa, we saw a slight decrease in new cases this week, ending 30 November, which is week 47. We had a total of 2,633 new cases. ZS6OPS returning, which was about 12.1% positivity rate. However, we did have 36 deaths being reported. And of course, last week it was 2,908 and 33 deaths, which is a slight decrease in the new cases of 275, but an increase of 3 deaths on the previous week's figures. Now, monkeypox is being reported this week. I managed to find a new page that, funny enough, on the same worldwide statistical website, they did make a change, which I'll explain in a moment why. But the figures as at 29 November are standing at 81,351 cases. And the last figure I had was the 10th of November at 79,151. So we're looking at approximately 2,000 new cases in the last 3 weeks, give or take. Now, the reason that, well, let me just cover the South African figures. South Africa still hasn't reported any new cases. Our figures are still sitting at 5 cases being reported. And as I say, week after week, no news is good news. Now, when it comes to monkeypox, why was there a period of non-reporting, or where at least the website I was using did not reflect the newer figures? Well, I think it was a build-up to what transpired this week. The World Health Organization has officially made an announcement that the name monkeypox shall no longer be used, and it will now be referred to as simply Mpox, Mike Papa Oscar X-ray. So it's no longer monkeypox, it is now Mpox. So let's just leave it at that. Otherwise, I will again be persona non grata. Right, so let's see now. In closing, I'd like to firstly find out if there are any additional late check-ins that would like to be added to the bottom of the list. Please go ahead now and give me your call sign. ZS6OP is standing by. Okay, nothing else heard. Adrian, Pierre, if you got anything that you'd like to add, comment on, or otherwise, just give me a thumbs up and I'll call you in. Adrian has given me a thumbs down, and so is Pierre. So on that note, guys, I'd like to close by encouraging everyone to register as a CERT volunteer. And of course, I'd like to thank those who did check in this week, and you know, those that joined via Zoom as well. And definitely would like to thank everybody who is out there listening. And of course, as the COVID-19 pandemic is still ongoing and is still infecting millions weekly, please remember to physically distance yourself and to wear a mask in order to protect others, especially the elderly, who could lose their lives if they contract COVID-19. And I think I need to get a big stick out and beat the living daylights out of Adrian there for showing me the weather app that's telling us that we've got lightning somewhere. Not too sure where, but it means time to start shutting the station down again. Okay, so always remember, it's best to sanitize and wash your hands in any event on a regular basis. So for the week moving forward, be safe, be prepared, and of course, be happy. This is ZS6OPS, now releasing 145.625 for general use. Cheers all.